AM 1220 KHTS HometownStation.com. Good afternoon. It is 3:13. I am T. Katz, and that was Pharrell Williams with Happy. Are you happy today? I'm happy because here in the studio today, not only is it me all by myself behind the microphone, I have the great pleasure of introducing Bernie Klein, who's here from Providence Holy Cross Medical Center. He's the chief executive, along with Carl Goldman, who is our station owner. Hello, fellas, and welcome to the booth.
You are looking so lonely, T.
I feel better that you're here.
Yeah, we decided to come here and give you a little comfort.
You know, it does get very lonely in here, I'm not going to lie. And then they lock me in with the padded walls and the no view. So thank you for being here this afternoon.
It's our pleasure.
I wanted to sit in on this interview with Dr. Klein, with Bernie, because Providence Holy Cross, we are lucky here in Santa Clarita, T. We have some great medical care and so many different facilities here in the valley, but really about over a third of our valley, between 33 and 40%, go down and use Holy Cross as their hospital, particularly in a time of emergency. And then, of course, we have Henry Mayo here, which also has about an equal amount of the valley using that. Kaiser, about 15%. And then all the other hospitals, Northridge and many of the others, they all of them add up to maybe 4 or 5%. So Holy Cross is really a strong connection for Santa Clarita, and it's great to have you here as the chief executive of Holy Cross. And I thought maybe you could share some of the what it's like for you to have gone from other hospitals and now working at Holy Cross. What's the difference from your viewpoint?
Well, first of all, thank you both for having me on your show. I really appreciate this opportunity. I've practiced medicine for over 17 years before I became a full-time position in administration, and so I've had the opportunity to work at a variety of different hospitals. And what set Holy Cross apart from all these other hospitals, and what attracted me to Holy Cross, was this incredible culture of collaboration, where the physicians, the medical staff, the nursing staff, the ancillary staff and administration, we actually get along. We work well.
I would think that's important.
It's
when you're working as a team.
We work very well as a team. We don't always agree, but we're always respectful. And when push comes to shove, the question we ask is, what's in the best interest of patient care?
Can I tell you a secret? My son, a number of years ago, I have a son with autism, and we're not really sure what prompted him, but he swallowed 53 magnets in a screw. And when I had a choice of where to take my boy, that's where we went. Because I knew that if anybody was going to help with such a bizarre issue, it was going to be those guys.
He probably was now in the Guinness Book of World Records.
You know, he was one of those kids. There's a list out there that says what kids should not swallow, from the most harmful to the least harmful. The least harmful being dirt. Go ahead, serve it up with salad. But the number one item, besides poison, was magnets. And I have to say, they were incredible, because when they didn't really know what to do, because it was a pretty unusual case, they did what was right for my son, not just what was right for a department or for anybody. And I had such incredible confidence in them, and that's why we went there.
Well, that's a great, and thank you so much for sharing that story.
And he's fine. His last name is Katz. I was going to change it to Goats in honorary of having survived eating anything. So, but yes, you guys rock.
Yeah, you don't let him near any metal now.
No,
right?
yeah. For fear he'll stick to it.
Kind of interesting, going through that metal detector at airports.
Yes.
But, and I've been down there to Holy Cross. I've been down in the emergency room way too many times with family and friends, and every time I've been down there, I've just watched not only the teamwork that you mentioned, Bernie, but also, more importantly, the compassion that takes place.
Unbelievable compassion and kindness and patience.
And part of that's really the whole mantra of Holy Cross and the entire Providence group. Maybe you can talk about how Providence differs from everyone else.
Well, right. So we are one of the big differences is we are truly a mission-driven organization, and the mission isn't just words up on the wall. We live, eat, and breathe our mission, which I think is why we attract such compassionate people. I mean, our mission is to care for the poor and vulnerable. Vulnerable could be anything from you and me in an accident being brought in through the ER to those who are less fortunate than us. Recently, we had the tragic case of the police officer who was on his motorcycle and was hit by an SUV. He was brought to our hospital, and despite our best efforts, unfortunately, he did not make it. I was there on the day that they removed his body from the hospital and put it in the coroner's van with a police escort that was on the news. And I was struck by what the police officers do is they form a line from the critical care unit to the back of the coroner's van. And several of the police officers actually move the body on the gurney. And they stand at attention. And my staff was standing right next to them at attention, weeping right along with them as as they moved the gentleman into the coroner's van to begin his procession. It was incredibly touching, incredibly
It's
touching.
got to be hard to experience that on a daily basis, but also so rewarding to see how many people you've saved over the years. We were talking a few minutes ago about the Metrolink disaster and how Holy Cross, was it 17 victims?
Correct.
You handled more so than any other hospital at that time, and the lives you saved because of that care is pretty awesome.
Right. The Metrolink train disaster was huge, and we received more of the victims than any of the other hospitals. We had 17, and while we took care of those 17, at the same time, we took care of another 40 who just were coming in our ER through our normal traffic. In one particular case, there was a young lady, and she was a Metrolink trauma victim. Well, the good news about the 17 is none of them passed away, and they all left the hospital within days to weeks after the event. She was one particular one, and what I remember about her is we invited her back a year later because she got to go to her prom.
Oh.
And I remember her showing up at the hospital in her prom dress. And, that's what it's all about.
You never lose the human contact with the people that come in your doors. It's a very lovely thing to watch.
AM 1220 KHTS. We're talking with Dr. Bernie Klein, who's the chief executive of Providence Holy Cross. T, we're going to let you get back to business with a little bit of traffic. And then we'll come back. And I'd really like to talk about healthcare in the year 2025.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. I'd like to know about that. All right, stay with us.
We were talking about the nursing facility at Providence Holy Cross, and you've received a number of awards for the nursing care.
Yes, we have. We are a magnet designated hospital, and recently we were redesignated with magnet status.
And what does that mean?
Yeah, so only 6% of the hospitals in the nation are magnet designated, and what it really means is a higher level of nursing care. Our nurses have protocols. They have they oversee their own care. They do research, and so what does that mean to a patient? So as a practicing physician, the reality is when I come into the hospital and see you, if you're, God forbid, in a bed, I might spend 15 minutes on your case, looking over the chart, coming in, chatting with you, examining you, and then charting my findings. If you're in the ICU, it might be 30 to 45 minutes. And then I leave. I go back to my office. But you, day in and day out, minute by minute, are actually cared for by the nurses. So it's critically important to have phenomenal nurses keeping their eye on you, who know you and know when to ask for help.
And know exactly what you have in plan, in store for the patient and what's there, to be that knowledgeable. What an incredible liaison between patient and physician, so that we as a patient receive the best possible care, as long as those communications and the fact that they are actively involved and researching and learning as they go. They are always in the trenches, knowing what's available. So
Exactly.
yeah, as a patient, I feel very confident knowing that that's what's at my bedside. So.
Did you ever watch Star Trek?
I did.
Remember Dr. Bones and how he would
Oh yeah,
have
that thing he would
device?
wave over you.
But
yeah.
the cool
I always
thing-
thought that was an ultrasound, but that's not true.
The cool thing about it is he was still an old-fashioned doctor.
Yes, he was.
And we were talking about this a little earlier, but healthcare of the future, you still see doctors playing an important role, right? And nurses.
Doctors will always have an important role as well as nursing. I think in the future what we'll see is that only the sickest of the sick will be in a hospital. Because the reality is healthcare is moving to the ambulatory, the outpatient setting wherever possible. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because we can offer and provide just as good a care at a lower cost.
I think that's a good thing. My grandmother, who lived to 107, said, don't go to the hospital. That's where the sick people are. So I think if you can take care of your medical issues and then be home, I think that's probably a better place to be.
Right. I mean, I believe a hospital is a great place to be if you're sick.
If you need it.
But I think it's a really dangerous place to be if you don't need to be there.
Yeah, if you've swallowed 482 magnets.
53 in a screw.
Probably a good idea to go to an emergency room.
But you were saying, so the care, though, is going to be important always at a hospital.
Hospitals will always have a role for care, and I do think it'll become more and more high-tech, but you can never replace the physician-patient relationship. That relationship is critical for a number of reasons. One, if you know your patient, you can do a better job of getting a good, accurate history from the patient. You know what's new and what's not new, and you get better compliance when you know and trust your physician.
Do you think the diagnostic tools are going to get cooler?
I think they'll continue to get cooler. Yes.
They have their first robot now.
That's correct. We are very pleased to report that we recently acquired a Da Vinci robot.
What?
And so we will be offering a robotic surgery starting early June.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, very, very cool.
I don't want anything wrong, but I almost want to go in for that. That sounds fun.
And do you see
Smart,
that
anyway.
evolving then? The robotics are definitely coming in.
Robotic will continue to evolve as well as other techniques. And so we're going to see more and more procedures that historically were done through invasively through non-invasive methods or through smaller and smaller incisions.
Wow.
We've got an anniversary coming up. It's the 30th anniversary of the trauma center over at Holy Cross. I've been down there when the helicopter, you're about to do traffic again, T, and so many times when there's a serious accident on the 5 or the 14, the helicopters come in and they fly right down to Holy Cross. There's that pad right next to the ER. They bring the victim into the ER, and then what happens, doctor?
So they bring them into the ER and they're put into one of our trauma rooms, and immediately a ED physician and a trauma surgeon assess the patient. We work as a team, so the nurses are inserting intravenous lines or IVs, as you commonly hear, so that we can give fluid or blood if we need to. We're assessing the status of the injuries. We have radiology standing right there, ready to take an x-ray if we need it. We have an EKG machine ready to go if we need it. We also have CAT scan ready to go, or the OR on standby in case we need to rush them right to those places. So it's a very intense amount of teamwork.
So and on June 11th, we will have a chance to see that because they're going to be celebrating the 30th anniversary of the trauma center. And you're going to be doing some mock demonstrations.
Correct. We're going to have a live simulation event. So what does that mean? We're going to have some mannequins that today's mannequins look
pretty
incredibly lifelike. And we're going to have a trauma team go through the paces as though it's a real live trauma. And the public, you and I, can actually stand there and watch them in action.
Wow. See, I always think those kind of events are closed, and so I'm included. I'm honored and thrilled that I can have the opportunity to see something like that. Great.
And to see when you're not in a panic mode.
Right. And as a panicked mother. I don't want to know.
Mom or many times
I'll be much cooler with the mannequin.
In a panic mode,
I don't know. I might panic too. I don't know for the mannequin.
And that's taking place June 11th, and we'll be giving more information out on that as we get closer to that date.
Super.
Well, Doctor, thank you so much for joining us, and it's always a pleasure. Dr. Bernie Klein of Providence Holy Cross Hospital, CEO of Holy Cross. T, I know you've got to get back to the
nose to the grindstone. Thank you, gentlemen,
thank you
for
so
being
much.
here. It was a pleasure to hear about the hospital and your great staff and how the great care that you provide to the community. And I, for one, personally get to say thank you, and I'm grateful for that moment. Stay with me. Coming up, I've got traffic every 10 minutes, maybe a little music from Andy Grammer. Don't leave me.
The powerhouse fire continues to blaze and 30 homes have been destroyed.
Hello, I'm George Cummings with your SCV News Break.